Satisfied with the result. Final 20 minutes looked sharper, very sharp in the final 20 minutes, and probably earned that through working hard for the first 60.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's lots of good stuff in the first half. So there was a try disallowed. Jimmy just in front. Like, it's one of those ones. Like, and then you sort of, especially when it's something on the back of the halfway line inside your own half. Then it's your back pressure. So anyway, it was a big moment, I thought. But and yeah, listen, off the back of a lot of changes, like there's a fear that it becomes a little bit disjointed, and yeah, maybe it did look a little bit disjointed at times, I thought. But like, on the flip side, there's a lot of really positive defensive sets in it. Like, Lions are a very good attacking team, score a lot of tries. To keep them to 7 points is really pleasing. But like, when the game was at 14-7, which it was for a good chunk of time, like, it's a proper arm wrestle of a game, isn't it? And yeah, listen, I thought the lads, they stuck at it well, and I thought some of the bench guys then added well at the end, which obviously Mango here beside me was on early, and obviously we had to deal with that bit of disruption as well, which wasn't ideal the way that scenario played out, which is obviously we lose James Cullen to obviously a head knock initially, so then he's coming off for his assessment from a gum shield being, and I actually don't know the exact technicality of that one, because obviously Scott comes on. But then we obviously have to move then James Cullen back over to 7 off the. I don't know. Would you have been aware of that? So we couldn't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, it was a little bit messy, wasn't it? Like, not quite the way we would have played it out, because again, that's the gum shield ping, and then you have a player that actually comes back in. So it's not like we made that replacement. It's something for us. I don't actually know the answer to the question, so I'll try and find that one out. But yeah, there was. I thought we were pleased with the sort of strong defence during the period when the game was at 14-7, and very much in the balance. And it was an arm wrestle. Lions had some. They were good in just keeping us pinned back in our end. Clever the way they played, I thought. So, and which that's why they're third in the table coming into this weekend. So, but then yes, it's good to get couple of tries at the end, pleasing. Lots of good bits of play from some of the bench guys coming off, which is what you want. You know what I mean? So, particularly off the back of last week, because we were 29-11, and got a bit helter skelter then at the end, unnecessarily. And is some of that in our control, or is that just the quality of the opposition on the day and their bench? So we would be critical of ourselves, very self-critical. But yeah, listen, it's a win. It's 5 points. That's what you want. Lions don't get anything. As I said, they were ahead of us going into the weekend. So we're ahead of them now, and we've Ospreys, and listen, we'll see where everyone sits at the weekend. And it's, as we know, the top 9 teams are incredibly tight, battling out for the top 8 places and seedings and the permutations of what that looks like and travel and all the rest. And but listen, we just need to try and keep improving and keep pushing each other on, keep enjoying the time there. Listen, certain guys know that it's getting to the end of their time in Leinster jerseys. Obviously, some people moving on to the end of the season. So there's naturally that bit of emotion, isn't there, across the board. So listen, it's making sure we enjoy the time, isn't it? Do what we can in the game to get everything we possibly can out of these games. And listen, we're one league game left. Then we're into the big stuff, knockouts, isn't it? So, which is great. What you want to be, isn't it? You know what I mean? So,
you fought through the wrinkles in your performance. So there was kind of overrunning. Some of the passing wasn't as accurate as it might be. Would have led to tries. Probably a couple of decisions that were a little bit better. But you managed to dig in, stay in there, win enough of the ball that you needed to, and then in the final quarter, obviously with the German and the replacements coming on had an effect. And even moving, I was going to ask you about moving Kieran to out half, where again it was just that. I suppose there was good attacking intent, and you could see the quality in the first half of some of the work that was done, but you just finished it a little bit better in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, like in terms of the bench, yeah, like obviously we were Kieran at 15, so something we want to see him at 10, and obviously with Hugo on the bench, and even with Hugh Cooney, we want to see him at 13, and we want to see Rico on the wing. So, they're just sort of some of those combinations, and you're sort of, let's see how the game plays out a little bit, and we're looking at certain things all the time. Because listen, we're gearing up for knockout games at the end of the day, aren't we? So it's a sequence at the end of a season. I don't know how many competitions where you play a final of a Champions Cup followed by a quarter final the week after, and it could be like you might be going from Bilbao to South Africa. So, like, how many competitions do you know would deliberately set it up like that? So, but that's some of the complication that we're headed towards. So, and that's the thing about us. Like, Lions are the most cohesive team I would imagine in the competition. I'm saying that just anecdotally. I don't know if that's a fact, but that's what I would imagine. They probably have the most cohesive team, as in, i.e., they make the least amount of changes during the 18 rounds of the regular season. We're 17 rounds in, so we are making changes because, listen, we want to keep the group competitive. We want to see lots of different combinations. That comes with risk, of course it does. But listen, it keeps the squad hungry, motivated. We want to give everyone a genuine opportunity to say, pick me for the knockout games. So, and that's what we'll continue to do. As we've one more regular season game, so we're not going to pick the same team as we picked today. So it'll be changes, guys back in the mix, and see where that leaves us heading into what we know is a final the week after. And listen, I think we're now in a quarterfinal. Where, when, who that quarterfinal is against the week after a final. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Let's come back to the foot of the mountain and climb it again.
Exactly.
Gerald, congratulations on the performance. Great performance coming back from injury. A little bit of your school days to go back to play number 8 there. So at one stage, back down in the middle of the back row.
Yeah, like Leo was saying, it was kind of tough because I came on into number 8 and then came back off again, kind of by mistake, and then came back on again. So when I first came on, it was just like chatting to the lads like James Joy and Max Deegan. They're just kind of telling me like what to do in 8 off line out, etc. And then I'm just kind of into it after that. And like once the ball kind of finished in the set piece, it's kind of just like fair game. You know what I mean? It's like what you train. You're just trying to get your hands on the ball and stuff like that. So yeah, like once I kind of got those few questions in, I was kind of just ready to kind of go and play. Like just like you were saying, I just came back from injury, so just like kind of hungry to play rugby.
Plenty winning of collisions on the game line. Very good defensive read in the second half. Lifted a bit of pressure at an important time when you read that contended pass. Nicked the ball from.
Yeah, a bit of fluke maybe. But look, I just saw it and I was like, I just got a good go for it because, you know, like when you're injured, you're probably reflecting back on like the past couple of games that you played before that, and like you probably might have a few regrets from games. You just think like what you want to kind of do better when you get back. One thing for me was just kind of letting go and just kind of playing in the moment and just kind of just literally being in the game and not like worrying about like what's happened next, what happened before. And I tried to do that for as much as I could today.
So thank you. Yeah, so just actually looking ahead to obviously Bilbao in 2 weeks, just with the it's almost like you've got this down as well. You got this extended squad of players who weren't in 23 over knockouts. So obviously you've got the likes of Derby, you've got Brian, you've got Kieran. I mean, just how important is it to have those guys who can come in at a moment's notice and play high level rugby like we saw today?
Well, that's it. Yeah, like even like Andrew Osborne is a classic example. He was due to play in an A game in Donnybrook. Joshua Kenny, you know, flagged some tightness yesterday evening. You know, when he woke up this morning, wasn't clear. Andrew needs to get himself out of a 1 o'clock kickoff in Donnybrook and up to UCD for a 5:30 kickoff here. So, you know, that's the way these things happen sometimes. So everyone needs to be ready all the time at this time of the season. And listen, it's frustrating when players miss out in selection, but they still need to be ready for the just in case piece. And listen, I thought Andrew was great there today because he was ready and prepped for the game and stepped in well. And listen, that's what it's going to take over the next while. But listen, as we know, if we don't get our stuff right, Ospreys is the main focus now, trying to make sure we get a home quarter at least. And yeah, listen, last game of the season for them, I think, and listen, the emotion the teams play with at the end of the season. So that's probably front and centre of our mind. But listen, definitely everyone in the squad needs to make sure they're ready to play their part, whatever that is.
And just looking at the Ospreys game, obviously, how much of a mix of it is it between obviously trying to secure the home semi final and then also trying to make sure you're managing your minutes perfectly ahead of the Bilbao as well? Yeah,
and it's case by case, isn't it? Like, so there's always a balance there. So, yeah, as I said, there will be some changes into next week, and but it's picking a team that's hungry, motivated, ready to do the job, similar to what the lads were today, and making sure we enjoy this time together, because in not too far away, this group is never the same again, isn't it? And we're into a new season the following year, and people move on and the dynamic is always shifting. So listen, making sure we just enjoy the time together, and lads have worked incredibly hard to get themselves into this position over the course of the season. So it's just making sure that we do everything we can to deliver big performances on the next weekend, which just happens to be here against Ospreys next week.
I mean, I just actually just finally looking at the performance today. Obviously, the replacements had such a huge impact, but even that period before the restart of the second half, where it's almost kind of like the Lions are bearing down on you for 20 minutes. Just, I mean, how massive was it to keep them out for that long? You had a turnover from Diarmuid, and you had that big turnover from James as well. Just how vital were those moments?
Oh, it's huge, yeah. Like it's a great score and tries at one end of the field, but listen, to keep the team 7 points is also very, very impressive. Particularly a team like the Lions that are, they've been scoring tries for fun over the last number of weeks. So, it's pleasing, really pleasing to get that win.
Leo, just going into camp this week, having reached the final of the European Champions Cup, obviously very different dynamic last year, having gone out at the semi-final stage. Was it easier having pushed? You've got to the final, you've got that part of it done. Was it easier to focus then on the URC for the squad coming into these games now?
I don't know. Are you deliberately bringing up so fast? I don't know. After the semi-final last year, we were distraught. You know what I mean? So, people need to understand. We were so upset. As in with ourselves. Not with anybody else, by ourselves. But this year, it's a new challenge, isn't it? The group are all hungry because they know there's big games coming. There's a big final. And as I said, the week after is a quarterfinal. Now, we didn't know that before today, guaranteed, but we do have a quarterfinal now. Where and when that is. But these are the games everyone does the work to get to this point. You know what I mean? To play in these games, which is great. And listen, there's a great buzz in the group at the moment. But listen, we know Ospreys are a seriously tough team. They've beaten us at home in not that long ago. Remember, they beat us in the RDS a few years ago. And before your time, maybe, Mango. But listen, I remember it very clearly. And listen, they're a really tough, well-coached team. So we need to make sure we get our head right for that. And then it's into an amazing challenge in a final against, the reigning champion cup holders, number one ranked team. Listen, star-studded squad, heavy favourites for the final. And it's an amazing challenge for our guys to give it our best shot, isn't it? So, what more could you ask for, really? This is where we want to be. Want to put ourselves in a situation where you're fighting it out in both competitions. But it's incredibly hard to do, isn't it? Fighting it out on both fronts. And you're seeing teams, it's challenging. You know what I mean? I was watching, obviously, Ulster and Stormers last night, and I'm watching some of the dynamic and how that unfolds for them, Ulster trying to juggle the two competitions as well. And listen, injuries, red card last night, all these different things that you have to deal with. So, but that's the beauty of it. It's unbelievably challenging, and that's why we need a group that's really working hard for each other. So, hopefully you see that in the next couple of weeks. And listen, we'll see where we sit at the end of every week to week. So, it isn't. It's unbelievably exciting. It's just making sure we keep working hard, trying to keep improving our game from a training point of view. So, that's what we can control. We can't control lots of different things that happen on a match day because referee, opposition, all the rest, but we can control our own preparation, our own levels of training, etc. So to give ourselves best chance, and listen, that's what we need to really try and go after this coming week and then the week after that as well.
And Bordeaux themselves, obviously, not to look too far ahead for that final, but obviously Bath pushed them a great deal in that match. Bordeaux they're still a very, very potent side, but Bath did push them very well in that semi-final.
Exactly, yeah. But Bordeaux, listen, you see the quality that they have as well, and they make Bath pay. And that's the thing that we need to understand. Listen, you're playing top-end teams. As I said, they've been head and shoulders the best team in the competition for the last few seasons. So we know it's going to be an unbelievable challenge.
And Dermot, from your own point of view, with the squad going in after getting to that final, obviously, as a group, you were all pushing one another for places and going forward in the URC competition, and obviously for the Champions Cup final as well.
Yeah, I think everyone's just hungry to play. Like Leo was saying, case with Randy Osborne, it's just next man up. So like if you get your opportunity, you gotta just give your best really, and just like play for the lads either side of it. Like everyone just wants to be in the knockouts, play in the knockouts. So when you get your opportunity, you have to just try and take it as much as you can.
Any issue with Will or injuries or legacy?
Will is his foot, yeah. I think he actually did in the warm up, did he? Like, he was getting treated in the warm up, and it was one of those ones he said he was good to go. But listen, he obviously hobbled off after 20 minutes or so. So, which is obviously that sticky one where you have an 8, and then as in obviously Scott Benny's covering 7 and 8, so he obviously came on, and then Scott is actually obviously, as we know, more natural cover for a 7. So again, I don't know the technicality of that. You sort of kind of snooker yourself, don't you? So I don't know. It just seems a little unfair, but I must exactly get clarification there.